Today we examine the case that transformed Al-Hayat International Hospital from a beacon of medical excellence into the scene of a tragic demise. Behind the pristine walls and cutting-edge technology of the United Arab Emirates' premier medical institution, a dangerous liaison was forming, one that would ultimately lead to the destruction of lives and careers. Mae Dela Cruz was 32 years old when she arrived at Al-Hayat International Hospital in January 2021. Born in Davao City, Philippines, to a working-class family, Mae had traveled a difficult path to reach her position as an ICU nurse at one of the UAE's most prestigious medical facilities. The eldest of 3 children, she had shouldered responsibility from an early age when her father abandoned the household, leaving her mother Elena to raise the children alone while battling type 2 diabetes. Mae was always the responsible one, her younger sister Layla told investigators. Even as a teenager, she worked part-time jobs while maintaining perfect grades. She dreamed of becoming a doctor, but when our father left, those dreams shifted to nursing. Faster to qualify, faster to earn. Financial records obtained during the investigation revealed a consistent pattern. Mae transferred 70 to 80% of her monthly salary of 12,000 dirhams, approximately $3,270, to her family in the Philippines, keeping only enough to cover her basic expenses in Dubai. Bank statements showed regular payments for her mother's insulin and diabetes management, her sister Layla's nursing school tuition, and support for her younger brother Marco's education. Mae shared a 2-bedroom apartment in Al-Qasais with 3 other Filipino nurses, a modest accommodation that cost her 2,100 dirhams monthly. The building's security logs would later become crucial evidence, documenting visitor entries and exits with timestamp precision. Her roommate Jasmine Reyes described Mae as dedicated, quiet, and intensely private, noting that she rarely joined social gatherings, preferring to work extra shifts or rest between her demanding hospital schedule. By all accounts, Mae excelled in her professional role. Hospital performance reviews obtained by investigators showed she received the highest possible ratings in patient care, technical skills, and emergency response. Dr. Mahmoud Al-Thani, Chief of Internal Medicine, described her as irreplaceable during crisis situations. On January 17, 2021, I witnessed Nurse Dela Cruz save a Saudi businessman's life during a cardiac arrest, Dr. Al-Thani stated in his testimony. Her response was textbook perfect, calm, methodical, and ultimately successful when many would have failed. This level of competence was typical of her performance. It was this very incident that first brought Mae to the attention of Dr. Elias Rahim. The 41-year-old Lebanese-Egyptian plastic surgeon had built Al-Hayat's cosmetic surgery department into a destination for wealthy clients from across the Middle East, Russia, and Central Asia. Born to a prominent Beirut family and educated at Imperial College London and Harvard Medical School, his credentials were impeccable, his reputation stellar. Hospital financial records revealed Dr. Rahim generated approximately 18.5 million dirhams, $5 million, annually for Al-Hayat through his exclusive practice, commanding fees starting at 75,000 dirhams, $20,400, for facial procedures alone. His patient waitlist extended 6 months, with wealthy clientele flying in specifically to be treated by him. Dr. Rahim's colleague, anesthesiologist Dr. Sarah Wilson, later testified, Elias possessed an almost magnetic charisma. Patients, especially female patients, were drawn to him. He had this ability to make anyone feel like they were the most important person in the room. I saw it happen countless times in consultations. His personal life presented a stark contrast to his warm professional demeanor. Married to Samira Rahim, daughter of a prominent Lebanese shipping magnate, since 2011, colleagues described their relationship as cordial but cold. The couple maintained a luxurious villa on Palm Jumeirah valued at approximately 15 million dirhams, $4.1 million, and were fixtures at Dubai's high society events, but rarely displayed public affection. According to their household staff, interviewed during the investigation, the couple maintained separate bedrooms and separate schedules. Their housekeeper, Fatima Karim, noted, "They operated like business partners, not husband and wife." Madame Samira managed the household and social calendar with military precision. Dr. Elias was rarely home, often returning after midnight. They had one child, Yusuf, born in 2012, who attended the elite Dubai American Academy. School records described him as academically gifted but socially reserved, with teachers noting he seemed most animated when discussing his father's medical work. According to hospital security footage, the first meaningful interaction between Dr. Rahim and Mae occurred on January 19, 2021, 2 days after the Saudi businessman's cardiac event. Camera feeds show Elias approaching Mae in the hospital lobby at 7:42 p.m. as she was leaving her shift. Their conversation, captured without audio, lasted approximately 3 minutes before they walked together to the hospital cafe. Their meeting lasted 47 minutes. While no audio was available, body language analysis conducted by forensic psychologist Dr. Rachel Meyer noted, even in this first recorded interaction, there are clear indicators of mutual interest, sustained eye contact, mirrored posturing, and the female subject's increased self-grooming behaviors, such as touching her hair repeatedly. What began as occasional coffee breaks rapidly evolved. By February 2021, hospital badge scans showed Mae and Elias entering and exiting the building at identical times with increasing frequency. Text messages recovered from Mae's phone revealed a progression from professional exchanges about patients to personal revelations. On February 24, 2021, Elias texted, "You understand me in ways no one else tries to. Thank you for listening today." Mae responded, "Just being honest. Everyone deserves to be seen for who they really are." By March 2021, colleagues had begun to notice the special attention Dr. Rahim showed to Nurse Dela Cruz. Head nurse Fatima Al-Mansouri later stated, he requested her specifically for his complex reconstructive cases, burn victims, facial traumas. This wasn't unusual by itself, but the way he looked at her during procedures, it was different. There was an intimacy that crossed professional boundaries. Security footage from March 28, 2021, captured the pair walking along Jumeirah Beach at 5:22 a.m., shortly after completing an emergency surgery on a child with severe facial burns. The camera shows them walking close together, hands occasionally touching, stopping to watch the sunrise. This would become their pattern. Meeting in public places that offered both visibility and anonymity. Hotel lobbies, upscale mall cafes, public beaches at odd hours. Electronic records revealed that Dr. Rahim purchased an additional mobile phone on April 3, 2021, activating it under the name Kareem Bashara, with cash payments at a mall kiosk. This device, later recovered from Mae's apartment, was used exclusively for their communications, containing over 4,700 text messages exchanged between April and October 2021. The content of these messages traced the evolution of their relationship from cautious attraction to emotional dependency. On April 17, Elias wrote, "Sometimes I think you're the only person who sees the real me, not just what I can do for them." Mae's response, "Maybe because I don't need anything from you except honesty." Cell tower data placed both Mae and Elias at her Al-Qasai's apartment on 7 occasions between May and July 2021. Typically when her roommates worked night shifts. Building security logs showed his luxury Mercedes remaining in the visitor parking area for approximately 2 to 4 hours during these visits. The pivotal moment in their relationship occurred on May 15, 2021. Security cameras at Dubai Mall captured Mae shopping alone at a supermarket when she encountered Elias with his wife and son. Footage shows her immediately stepping behind a display, watching as Samira guided Yusuf toward an expensive toy store, the boy clutching a birthday gift bag. 3 hours later, cameras at a cafe in Business Bay recorded Mae and Elias in intense conversation. Though audio was unavailable, lip-reading experts later identified the critical promise Elias made that day. "When Yusuf turns 10, I leave. We start over. Together." This promise, captured on camera and referenced in subsequent text messages, would become the foundation of Mae's fatal trust in Dr. Rahim. On September 10, 2021, Mae visited a private medical clinic in Dera, not affiliated with Al-Hayat Hospital. Medical records show she received a pregnancy test and initial obstetric evaluation, confirming she was approximately 6 weeks pregnant. The nurse practitioner noted, "Patient appears emotionally conflicted but ultimately happy about pregnancy." declined to provide information about the father. That evening, Mae's phone records show she took a pregnancy test photo at 8:42 p.m., sending it to Elias's secret phone with the message, "Our new beginning, Red Heart." She had no way of knowing this message would set in motion a chain of events leading to her destruction. The revelation of Mae's pregnancy catalyzed a dramatic shift in her relationship with Dr. Elias Rahim. Data recovered from their secret phones documented a transformation in tone and frequency of communications in the hours following her announcement. On September 11, 2021, at 9:17 a.m., Elias responded to her pregnancy news with, "We need to talk. Not by text. Meet me at Al-Sif Cafe tomorrow, 2 p.m. Security footage from the cafe in Al-Quaz industrial area captured their meeting in full view of the establishment's cameras. Mae arrived at 1:45 p.m., ordered mint tea, and waited, frequently checking her phone. Her body language, later analyzed by experts, showed anticipation and nervous energy. Smoothing her hair, rearranging the table setting, rehearsing words under her breath. Dr. Rahim entered at 2:13 p.m., 13 minutes late, checking his surroundings repeatedly before sitting across from her. He wore sunglasses indoors and positioned himself partially obscured by a large potted plant. Behaviors consistent with someone concerned about being recognized, according to security consultant Tariq Mahmood, who reviewed the footage. Lip-reading analysis revealed portions of their conversation. Mae can be seen showing Elias what appears to be an ultrasound image. His reaction is immediate and negative. He pushes the image back toward her, shaking his head. "This is impossible now. You understand that, right? Impossible," he says, according to the analysis. Mae's response shows visible distress. "You promised. You said when Yusuf turns 10. That's still months away. This changes everything." Elias responds, his hands gesturing emphatically. The conversation escalates, with Mae wiping tears and Elias repeatedly checking his watch and phone. At one point, he leans forward intensely. "Do you understand what would happen to me? To my practice? To everything I've built?" After 37 minutes, he abruptly stands, leaving Mae alone at the table. The cafe's CCTV captures her remaining seated for an additional 22 minutes before departing, the ultrasound photo still clutched in her hand. In the days following this confrontation, both digital evidence and witness testimonies indicate Dr. Rahim's systematic withdrawal from Mae's life. Hospital scheduling records show he requested different nursing staff for his procedures, specifically noting, "Nurse Dela Cruz unavailable for my cases until further notice." Badge scans revealed deliberate timing adjustments to avoid encountering Mae during shift changes. Dr. Rahim altered his previously consistent 7:45 a.m. arrival to 8:30 a.m., after Mae would have completed handover and moved to the ICU floor. Text messages from Mae's secret phone show increasingly desperate attempts to reach Elias. September 14, 2021, 8:14 p.m. "Please talk to me. We need to figure this out together." September 15, 2021, 10:32 p.m. "I went to another checkup today. Everything looks healthy." September 17, 2021, 7:06 a.m. "I'm not asking for anything except for you to acknowledge your child." Dr. Rahim's responses became increasingly infrequent and cold. September 18, 2021, 11:47 p.m. "I need time to think. This situation is impossible right now." September 21, 2021, 6:22 a.m. "You need to be realistic about what can happen. My career, my family, everything is at stake." September 25, 2021, 12:01 a.m. "I can help financially if you want to terminate. I know a discreet clinic." Head nurse Al-Mansouri later told investigators she noticed marked changes in Mae during this period. She lost weight, had dark circles under her eyes. When I asked if she was ill, she said she was just tired. "But I've been a nurse for 22 years. I know the difference between fatigue and heartbreak." On September 30, 2021, after nearly 2 weeks of minimal contact, Dr. Rahim agreed to meet Mae again, this time in the hospital parking garage at 11:30 p.m. Security cameras captured only fragments of their interaction due to the garage's limited coverage. but audio was recorded by Mae herself using her phone's voice memo function. This 17-minute recording, later recovered by digital forensics, documented Dr. Rahim pressuring Mae to terminate the pregnancy. "Think about what you're doing," his voice says on the recording, tension evident in his tone. "I can help you financially. Set up a private procedure with complete confidentiality. Afterward, we can return to our original plan." Mae's voice, clearly distressed but firm. "This is our child. You said you'd leave her, Elias. I will. But not like this, not with a scandal that destroys everything I've built. Samira's family has connections throughout the Gulf. They would ensure I never practice medicine again. Mae, so I should just erase our baby to protect your career? Elias, be practical, Mae. What kind of future could you provide alone? A single mother, Filipino nurse, in Dubai? You'd lose your visa, your job, everything." The recording ends with Mae's sobbing and Dr. Rahim's footsteps retreating, followed by the sound of a car engine starting. In the following weeks, Mae's colleagues observed her increasing isolation. Roommate Jasmine Reyes later testified that Mae stopped joining their weekend gatherings at the Filipino Community Center, began wearing oversized scrubs, and spent hours alone in her room. "She wouldn't tell us what was wrong," Reyes stated. "We suspected a relationship problem, but she was private about her personal life. We didn't know about Dr. Rahim until after everything happened." Medical records show Mae continued prenatal care at the Small Dara Clinic, paying cash for all services. Notes from her October 7th appointment indicate normal fetal development at approximately 10 weeks. The attending physician noted, "Patient appears under significant stress. Blood pressure elevated. Recommended rest and counseling." On October 14, 2021, Mae's internet search history shows queries for pregnancy visa complications UAE, single mother Dubai legal status, and return to Philippines pregnant work options. That same evening, her phone records show a 47-minute call to her mother in Davao, though the content of this conversation was never established. The situation reached a breaking point on October 15, 2021. Surveillance cameras at Al-Hayat Hospital captured Mae approaching Dr. Rahim in a secluded corridor near the surgical supply room at 7:14 a.m. The interaction lasted less than 2 minutes, with Dr. Rahim quickly walking away. Later that morning, Mae called in sick, the first time she had ever done so, according to hospital attendance records. Digital evidence recovered from Mae's laptop reveals what happened next. At 11:28 p.m. on October 15th, using an anonymous email service, she sent a message to Samira Rahim's personal email address, obtained from hospital records where Samira was listed as Elias's emergency contact. The message contained no text, only 3 attachments. The ultrasound image with Dr. Rahim's name visible on the patient information section, screenshots of intimate text conversations between Mae and Elias discussing their relationship, and most damaging, a 2-minute video clip filmed in Mae's apartment in July 2021, showing the couple in an undeniably intimate situation. Forensic analysis of the video file's metadata confirmed it was recorded on Mae's personal phone on July 23, 2021, at 10:17 p.m. The recording appears to have been made without Dr. Rahim's knowledge or consent, a critical detail that would later factor into legal proceedings. Phone records show Mae called her mother in the Philippines immediately after sending the email, a conversation lasting 24 minutes. Her sister Layla later revealed, "Mae told our mother she might be coming home soon. She said she had fixed things and would explain everything when she arrived. Mama was so happy. She had no idea what was really happening." The following morning, October 16th, Mae reported for her shift at 6:45 a.m. as usual. Security footage shows her working normally, attending to patients on the ICU floor. At 10:17 a.m., she received a text message from Dr. Rahim. "What have you done? Meet me in the east stairwell now." Camera feeds show Mae entering the stairwell at 10:19 a.m. Dr. Rahim arrives seconds later, visibly agitated, running his hands through his hair repeatedly. A stress response noted by behavioral analysts. What transpired in that stairwell, recorded without audio, would set in motion the final, tragic chapter of Mae Dela Cruz's story. The footage shows Dr. Rahim gesturing aggressively, his face contorted with anger. Mae stands her ground initially, but as the confrontation escalates, her posture changes to one of fear. At one point, he grabs her arm, the only physical contact during the 6-minute interaction, before abruptly releasing her and exiting the stairwell. Mae remains for 2 additional minutes, visibly trembling before returning to her duties. At 11:42 a.m., Mae receives a text from an unknown number. "I have something that belongs to you. We should discuss it. Al-Hayat Cafe. 4 p.m. today." Digital forensics would later confirm this number belonged to Samira Rahim. The security cameras at Al-Hayat Cafe would capture the fateful meeting between these two women, a conversation that would ultimately lead to the shocking events that made headlines across the Emirates and beyond. The email that would alter 3 lives arrived in Samira Rahim's inbox at 11:28 p.m. on October 15, 2021. According to digital forensics specialists who later examined her devices, she opened the message at 6:14 a.m. on October 16, her customary time for checking correspondence before her morning workout and use of school preparation. The evidence suggests Samira's initial reaction was one of remarkable control. Unlike many spouses confronted with infidelity, she initiated no immediate communication with her husband. She did not call friends or family. Instead, security footage from the Palm Jumeirah villa shows her maintaining her regular morning routine, preparing Yusuf's breakfast at 7 a.m., seeing him off with the driver at 7:30 a.m., and proceeding with her scheduled Pilates session at 8:15 a.m. This level of composure indicates someone accustomed to strategic thinking rather than emotional reactions. Noted forensic psychologist Dr. Rachel Meyer. Her background as a litigation attorney trained her to evaluate evidence before taking action. Only after completing these routine tasks did Samira begin what investigators would later describe as a methodical intelligence gathering operation. At 9:43 a.m., her computer records show her creating a new secure folder titled Personal Matter, where she saved the 3 attachments from Mae's email. She then began a systematic investigation into the woman who had sent them. The most crucial piece of evidence, the phone number embedded in the email metadata, provided Samira her first lead. Using connections from her former legal career, she contacted Ahmed Khalil, head of telecommunications compliance at Etisalat, with whom she had maintained a professional relationship from her days representing the company in regulatory matters. Phone records obtained during the investigation show a 3-minute call to Khalil at 10:07 a.m. By 10:32 a.m., he had texted her the subscriber information associated with the number: Mae Dela Cruz, Filipino national, residence Al-Qusais Building 27, apartment 504. Visa sponsored by Al-Hayat International Hospital. With this confirmation of Mae's identity and employment, Samira activated another contact. At 10:45 a.m., she called Noor Al-Faisal, director of human resources at Al-Hayat Hospital and the wife of her cousin. Their conversation lasted 17 minutes. While no recording exists, subsequent testimony from Al-Faisal revealed that Samira requested Mae's employment file for a confidential review related to a potential charitable foundation for overseas healthcare workers. By noon, Samira had received a comprehensive digital dossier containing Mae's employment application, performance reviews, schedule, visa status, and personnel photograph. The file, later recovered from Samira's laptop, revealed crucial details: Mae's outstanding performance record, her family dependencies in the Philippines, the precise amount of remittances she sent home monthly, and most importantly, her visa status tied exclusively to her hospital employment. What's notable about Samira's approach, observed Detective Rashid Al-Mansouri during the subsequent investigation, was how she leveraged her social connections to gather information that would normally require legal warrants or official investigations. She operated within her social sphere but with police-like precision. With Mae's identity and vulnerabilities now mapped, Samira expanded her intelligence gathering. Internet records show her accessing Mae's public social media profiles at 1:24 p.m. Though Mae maintained minimal online presence, Samira methodically documented connections, particularly noting Mae's membership in a Filipino Catholic community group in Dubai and her regular communication with family members in Davao. At 2:17 p.m., Samira contacted Melissa Chun, assistant director at Emirates NBD Bank, where both the Rahim family and Al-Hayat Hospital maintained accounts. Their recorded conversation, later subpoenaed, revealed Samira requesting verification of recent unusual transactions on Elias's personal accounts, a service available to her as a joint account holder. By 3:30 p.m., Samira had obtained statements showing Elias had withdrawn approximately 175,000 dirhams, $47,650, in cash over the previous 6 months, amounts inconsistent with his normal spending patterns. Significantly, several withdrawals corresponded with dates Mae had visited her private prenatal clinic, according to medical records later uncovered. While building this dossier on Mae, Samira maintained her normal routine. She attended a scheduled charity committee meeting at 4 p.m. at the Four Seasons Hotel, where witnesses described her as perfectly composed, asking insightful questions about fundraising strategies. Security footage shows her smiling as she greeted acquaintances, giving no indication of her parallel investigation. At 6:22 p.m., after returning home, Samira initiated the most audacious phase of her information gathering. She texted Dr. Mahmoud Al-Thani, chief of internal medicine and a family friend, considering supporting Filipino nursing staff through foundation. Need insights on their working conditions. Could you recommend someone to interview? Al-Thani's response at 6:34 p.m. Nurse Dela Cruz in ICU exemplary, supporting mother with diabetes, sister in nursing school. Hardworking, respected by all staff. This confirmation of Mae's financial vulnerabilities completed Samira's initial intelligence gathering. That evening, while Elias attended a medical conference dinner, confirmed by hotel security footage, Samira reviewed the evidence she had accumulated and formulated her strategy. The morning of October 17th, Samira executed the next phase of her plan. At 9:15 a.m., she arrived at Al-Hayat Hospital without appointment, her first visit to her husband's workplace in over 2 years, according to reception records. Security cameras captured her requesting a wellness consultation for persistent fatigue, specifically asking for a Filipino nurse who speaks English clearly. The receptionist, recognizing Mrs. Rahim, expedited her request. At 9:32 a.m., Mae Dela Cruz was assigned to conduct Samira's initial assessment in a private consultation room on the second floor. Neither woman gave any indication they were aware of the other's significance. What transpired in that consultation room was partially captured by the hospital's security system, which recorded video but not audio. The footage shows Samira seated calmly as Mae enters, checking her chart. Mae performs routine procedures, blood pressure measurement, temperature check, basic health questions. Approximately 8 minutes into the consultation, the video shows a distinct shift. Samira says something that causes Mae to freeze, stethoscope in hand. Mae slowly sits down, her posture collapsing. Samira leans forward, speaking for approximately 3 minutes without interruption. While no official audio exists from this encounter, Mae's subsequent text to her roommate Jasmine at 10:17 a.m. provides crucial context. The wife knows everything. She was just here. So calm. Asked about the baby. How did she find me? Digital forensic analysis later revealed that Samira had recorded their entire conversation using her Apple Watch, a recording she would leverage strategically in the coming hours. The recording itself, recovered during the investigation, documented a masterclass in psychological manipulation. Transcripts reveal Samira speaking softly, almost maternally. I'm not here for a scene, Mae. I want to understand. You're clearly intelligent, dedicated. You must have seen something special in Elias to risk everything. Mae's initial denials dissolve when Samira calmly describes the video content in detail. I don't blame you entirely, Samira continues. Elias can be very persuasive. He promised to leave me, didn't he? After Yusuf turns 10. That's his pattern. The most devastating moment comes when Samira reveals, you're not the first, you know? There was a Russian physiotherapist in 2018, a British patient coordinator before that. Always the same promises. Always the same ending. This revelation, whether true or fabricated, visibly shattered Mae's composure. The recording captures her breakdown. He said I was different, that he'd never felt this way before. That after Yusuf's birthday. And now there's a baby, Samira interjects gently. Your child deserves better than a father who discards women when they become inconvenient. Tell me everything, Mae. Perhaps we can find a solution that protects everyone involved. In this moment of vulnerability, Mae confessed the entire timeline of their relationship, unaware that her words were being recorded, evidence that would later prove devastating. After leaving the hospital at 10:24 a.m., Samira proceeded to her next target. Security footage from the Dubai International Financial Center shows her entering the offices of Maktoum and Associates, a prominent law firm specializing in family and employment law, at 11:15 a.m. She remained in consultation with senior partner Fatima Al Maktoum for approximately 90 minutes. While the content of their discussion falls under attorney-client privilege, documents later recovered from Samira's home office suggest they discussed UAE labor law regarding visa revocation, grounds for immediate termination of medical professionals, and financial settlement parameters for potential defamation claims. By early afternoon, Samira had assembled all the pieces necessary for her counterattack. Phone records show she called Elias at 2:47 p.m., their conversation lasting just 28 seconds. We need to discuss an urgent matter. Come home directly after your last procedure. No delays. The security system at their Palm Jumeirah villa captured Elias arriving at 6:32 p.m., appearing relaxed until entering the living room where Samira waited. The house staff had been given the evening off, an unusual occurrence noted by their live-in housekeeper, who later testified that Samira had never before dismissed all staff simultaneously. The confrontation that followed, captured by the home security system without audio, would determine Mae Dela Cruz's fate and set in motion the tragic events that ultimately led to her death. The security footage from the Rahim villa on the evening of October 17, 2021, reveals a carefully orchestrated scenario. Samira Rahim had positioned herself in the formal living room, a space rarely used except for entertaining guests. On the glass coffee table before her rested a leather portfolio and 2 crystal glasses flanking an open bottle of Elias's favorite single malt whiskey. When Dr. Elias Rahim entered at 6:33 p.m., his body language displayed confusion rather than apprehension, indicating he remained unaware of the extent of Samira's knowledge. According to lip-reading experts who later analyzed the footage, his first words were, "What's so urgent? I have rounds to prepare for tomorrow." Samira's response was not verbal. Instead, she opened the portfolio and removed a single photograph, later identified as a still frame from the intimate video Mae had sent, and placed it on the table between them. The transformation in Elias's demeanor was immediate and profound. Security analyst Tariq Mahmoud noted, "His posture collapses completely. This is what we call a surrender response, when an individual recognizes they have no viable defense." For approximately 4 minutes, Samira spoke uninterrupted while Elias remained motionless. She then removed additional documents from the portfolio, spreading them methodically across the table. Financial statements, highlighting his cash withdrawals, screenshots of text exchanges, and finally a document later identified as a modified postnuptial agreement. Lip-reading analysis reveals Samira's calculated approach. "This isn't about your infidelity, Elias. It's about your carelessness. A pregnant nurse? Videos that could destroy everything we've built? Your reputation, our social position, Yusuf's future. All risked for what? Some momentary escape." Elias attempted to speak several times, but Samira consistently cut him off with a raised hand. The power dynamic, visible even without audio, had completely reversed from their normal interactions, where Elias typically dominated conversations. After presenting her evidence, Samira outlined her terms. The document she placed before him contained 3 non-negotiable conditions: full transfer of their Palm Jumeirah villa to her name exclusively, restructuring of Yusuf's trust fund with Samira as sole trustee, assignment of Elias's 40% ownership stake in his private practice to a holding company controlled by Samira's family. But the 4th condition, not committed to paper, would prove the most devastating. Lip-reading experts identified Samira's clear statement: "The nurse must go, permanently, No severance, no references, no trace. I want her visa cancelled and her reputation destroyed. Make it happen within 48 hours. When Elias appeared to protest, Samira played her final card. She activated her phone, and though the audio is not captured on security footage, investigators later confirmed she played the recording of Mae's confession from their hospital meeting. After listening, Elias poured himself a full glass of whiskey, drained it, and signed the document without further discussion. Their entire negotiation had taken less than 20 minutes. The following morning, October 18th, Dr. Rahim arrived at Al-Hayat Hospital at 7:15 a.m., earlier than his usual schedule. Security badge records show him proceeding directly to the office of Ibrahim Karim, hospital administrator, where he remained for 27 minutes. Karim later testified, Dr. Rahim claimed Nurse Dela Cruz had made inappropriate advances toward him, culminating in an attempt to extort money by fabricating a pregnancy claim. He presented what appeared to be text messages supporting his allegations and requested immediate administrative action. While no recording of this meeting exists, its results were swift and devastating. At 8:47 a.m., Mae was summoned to Human Resources while attending to patients in the ICU. Security footage shows her confusion as she's led to a conference room where Ibrahim Karim, HR Director Noor Al-Faisal, and Chief of Nursing Fatima Al-Mansouri waited. According to Al-Mansouri, who later became a witness for the prosecution, Mae was given no opportunity to defend herself. They presented printed text messages, some of which appeared edited or out of context. When Mae attempted to explain, Karim cut her off, stating the evidence was conclusive and disturbing. By 9:15 a.m., Mae had been stripped of her hospital ID badge, escorted to clear her locker, and marched to the exit by security. The official termination letter cited gross professional misconduct, violation of patient-provider boundaries, and attempted extortion, allegations that would make her essentially unhireable throughout the UAE healthcare system. Most critically, the hospital immediately notified immigration authorities of her terminated employment status, automatically invalidating her residence visa with a standard 30-day grace period before mandatory departure. Mae's text messages in the hours following her termination reveal her growing desperation. 10:23 a.m. to Elias. What happened? Why are you doing this? Please call me. 10:47 a.m. to Elias. I don't understand. They showed me texts I never sent. Someone altered our messages. 11:36 a.m. to Elias. Please, think about our baby. I just need to talk to you. Dr. Rahim never responded. Phone records show he blocked her number at 11:42 a.m. By afternoon, the systematic dismantling of Mae's life accelerated. At 2:17 p.m., she received an email from Emirates NBD Bank notifying her that her account had been flagged for suspicious activity and temporarily frozen pending review. A common practice when residence visas are canceled, but one that effectively cut off her access to approximately 7,200 dirhams, $1,960, in savings. At 3:45 p.m., Mae's roommate Jasmine called, having heard rumors at the hospital. Everyone's saying you tried to blackmail Dr. Rahim, she reported. HR told the staff not to discuss it, which only made people talk more. What's happening? Mae's desperate attempts to salvage her reputation hit another barrier that evening. At 7:32 p.m., she received a text from her landlord. Hospital HR called reference check. Informed contract violation. Vacate premises within 10 days. With her reputation, employment, financial resources, and housing simultaneously collapsing, Mae attempted to seek help through the Philippine consulate. Records show she arrived at their office at 9:15 a.m. on October 19th, waiting 3 hours to speak with a labor attaché. The consular report from this meeting notes, worker reports termination under disputed circumstances, claims evidence was fabricated, requests assistance with immigration status and potential legal remedies, limited options available given nature of allegations, advised of repatriation assistance program as last resort. Meanwhile, records obtained from 3 other major hospitals in Dubai, Mediclinic, Saudi German Hospital, and Zalika Hospital, show that each received calls from Al-Hayat's HR department between October 18th to 20th, informing them of Mae's termination for serious ethical violations. This unofficial blacklisting, while not documented formally, effectively closed all employment doors in the Emirates' healthcare sector. On October 20th, Mae made a desperate final attempt to confront Elias, waiting outside his private clinic in Al-Wasl. Security cameras show her approaching his Mercedes as he exited the building at 6:43 p.m. Their interaction lasted less than 30 seconds before clinic security intervened at Dr. Rahim's signal, physically blocking Mae from following him to his vehicle. That evening, Mae called her mother in Davao. Phone records show the call lasted 38 minutes, though no recording exists. Her sister Layla later revealed the content. Mae told our mother she'd be coming home soon. She said there had been a misunderstanding at work, but didn't explain further. She promised she'd figure something out to keep supporting us. Unable to admit her situation, Mae fabricated a story about receiving a better job offer in Canada, explaining she would need to return to the Philippines first for processing. Bank records show she attempted to wire her frozen funds to her mother's account that night, but the transaction was rejected. On October 22nd, Mae visited Emirates Hospital Clinic in Dera, her third prenatal appointment. Medical records note, patient appears severely distressed. Blood pressure dangerously elevated at 160/95. Recommended immediate stress reduction and bed rest. Patient declined admission for monitoring, citing insurance concerns. Her financial situation deteriorated rapidly. Building security logs show Mae selling personal items to other Filipino workers in her building. Her laptop, 2,000 dirhams/$544, gold earrings gifted by her grandmother, 1,800 dirhams/$490, and eventually her smartphone, replacing it with an inexpensive basic model. By October 25th, just 1 week after her termination, Mae had been systematically isolated from her support network. Her roommates, fearing association with her could jeopardize their own employment, had distanced themselves. The Filipino community, hearing rumors of professional misconduct, likewise withdrew. Her ability to communicate with family in the Philippines was limited to borrowing phones or using internet cafes. On October 26th, Mae wrote a letter later found in her apartment, addressed to her unborn child. "I thought your father would protect us. I believed his promises. Now I understand that people like us are invisible to people like them. But I won't give up. Somehow we'll find our way home." That same day, Samira Rahim hosted a fundraising luncheon for her newly established Emirati Women in Medicine Foundation at the one and only Royal Mirage Hotel. Photographs published in Emirates Woman magazine show her elegantly dressed, smiling alongside other prominent Dubai socialites, giving a speech about uplifting ethical standards in healthcare. The contrast between these parallel scenes, Mae selling her possessions in a cramped apartment building while Samira championed ethical leadership in a luxury hotel, epitomized the power disparity that would ultimately lead to tragedy. On October 28th, Mae attempted one final desperate measure. Email records show she contacted 3 news outlets, Gulf News, Khaleej Times, and The National, with subject lines referencing medical ethics violation at Al-Hayat Hospital. None responded, likely filtering her messages as potential defamation risk in a country with strict media laws. That evening, building security cameras captured Mae returning to her apartment at 8:43 p.m., carrying a small pharmacy bag. It would be the last time she was seen alive by anyone other than the person who would discover her body 2 days later. By November 1st, 2021, Mae Dela Cruz's life had collapsed into a nightmare of isolation and mounting desperation. Evicted from her shared apartment in Al-Qusais, she had relocated to a deteriorating building in Dera's congested backstreets, an area predominantly populated by transient laborers and those living on Dubai's economic margins. Building registry documents show she paid 2,200 dirhams, $599, for 6 weeks advance rent on a 12-square-meter room with shared bathroom facilities. The receipt, found among her possessions, bore a handwritten notation: "No contract. Cash only. No refunds." This single room, later photographed by crime scene investigators, stood in stark contrast to the pristine medical environments where Mae had previously spent her days. Peeling paint-covered walls stained by previous occupants cooking. A narrow cot with a thin mattress occupied one corner. A hot plate balanced precariously on a wooden crate served as her kitchen. A plastic basin for washing clothes sat beneath the room's single window, which overlooked an air conditioning unit and brick wall. The contrast was psychological torture for someone like Mae. Noted forensic psychologist Dr. Rachel Meyer. She had gone from surgical suites where a single piece of equipment might cost millions of dirhams to a room where cockroaches emerged from cracks at night. Mae's daily journal, recovered from beneath her mattress, documented her deteriorating physical and mental state with clinical precision, the professional nurse observing her own decline. November 3rd. Spotting this morning. Called clinic but cannot afford visit without insurance. Taking rest, extra fluids. Baby still moving. Nausea worse without prenatal vitamins. Using regular multivitamins instead. November 5th. Swelling in ankles. Blood pressure remains elevated. Borrowed cuff from Filipino midwife downstairs. 150/92. Should be on bed rest but must find work. Sent 20 applications today. No responses. Mae's internet search history from public computers at Al-Mankhul Library revealed increasingly desperate employment queries. Jobs for cancelled visa holders Dubai. Cash work no papers needed. Housekeeping jobs without agency. Call center work Filipino. On November 7th, Mae attempted to access medical care at Dubai Hospital's emergency department. Hospital records indicate she arrived at 2:17 a.m. complaining of abdominal cramping and dizziness. The intake form shows she truthfully disclosed her pregnancy and lack of valid insurance. After a 4-hour wait, the triage nurse's notes state, patient unable to provide valid Emirates ID or insurance. Minimal bleeding, vital signs stable though BP elevated at 155/94. Referred to social services for possible charity care options. Patient left before consultation completed. Security footage shows Mae sitting on a bench outside the hospital at 6:42 a.m., calling someone on a borrowed phone. Cell records indicate this was a 3-minute call to Dr. Rahim's clinic, which went to voicemail as the office was closed. She left no message. Mae's financial situation had become dire. Bank records subpoenaed during the investigation revealed her account remained frozen with a balance of 7,246 dirhams, $1,973. Money she could see but not access. The cash proceeds from selling her possessions, approximately 4,500 dirhams, $1,226, was rapidly depleting. Her daily expenses, meticulously tracked in her journal, show the brutal mathematics of survival. Room rent, 366 dirhams/week, $100. Food, primarily rice, eggs, instant noodles 25 dirhams/day, $6.80. Water, 5 dirhams/day, $1.36. Transportation to job interviews, 20 to 30 dirhams/day, $5.45 to $8.17. Phone credit, 30 dirhams/week, $8.17. Laundry soap, toiletries, 45 dirhams/week, $12.25. By November 10th, Mae had secured only one potential income source. An informal arrangement with a Filipino-owned laundry service in Al Satwa offering 40 dirhams, $10.90, daily for ironing work, cash payment, no questions asked about visa status. The owner, Maria Santos, later testified, she was clearly educated, not meant for this work. Her hands were shaking during her trial day. I asked if she was sick, and she said she was just tired. While struggling for basic survival, Mae maintained one priority above all others, continuing to send money to her family in the Philippines. Western Union records show a transfer of 1,000 dirhams, $272, to Mae Dela Cruz in Davao on November 8th, with the note, for Mama's medicine. More next week. This transfer represented nearly a quarter of her remaining funds. Telephone records obtained from a nearby internet cafe show Mae made weekly calls to her mother lasting approximately 10 to 15 minutes each. The cafe owner, Mahmoud Saleh later told investigators. She would compose herself before calling, practicing her smile. During the calls, she sounded cheerful, talking about her new job opportunity and asking about family members. After hanging up, sometimes she would sit crying quietly before leaving. On November 12th, Mae's physical condition deteriorated further. Her journal entry reads, "Severe headache all day, vision occasionally blurry. BP 162/98. Classic preeclampsia symptoms. Should be hospitalized. Cannot risk hospital without insurance. Deportation likely. Trying salt restriction. Rest." This self-diagnosis, later confirmed as accurate by medical examiners, reveals how Mae's medical knowledge had become a curse, allowing her to recognize her dangerous condition while lacking resources to address it properly. On November 13th, Mae made a desperate attempt to resolve her situation. Email records show she sent a message to Samira Rahim at 3:14 p.m. "Mrs. Rahim, I understand your anger toward me. I made a terrible mistake becoming involved with your husband, but the child I am carrying is innocent. I am having medical complications that threaten both our lives. I ask nothing for myself. If you allow me to access my frozen bank account, I will return to the Philippines immediately and never contact your family again. My mother depends on my support for her diabetes medication. Without it, she may not survive. Please show mercy, not for me, but for two innocent lives. Mae Dela Cruz." The email tracking software installed on Mae's webmail account shows the message was opened at 3:42 p.m. the same day, but no response was ever sent. That evening, Mae visited a small pharmacy in Naif operated by a Pakistani pharmacist who didn't strictly enforce prescription requirements. Security camera footage shows her purchasing methyldopa, blood pressure medication for pregnant women, basic prenatal vitamins, and rehydration salts. The total cost, 376 dirhams, $102, represented 3 days of food budget. Her attempt at self-treatment proved ineffective. On November 15th, her journal records, symptoms worsening despite medication, persistent headache, edema increasing, baby's movements less frequent, running out of options. Perhaps most tragically, on November 16th, a letter arrived at Mae's former address in Al-Qasais. Her former roommate Jasmine found it while collecting remaining mail and attempted to contact Mae, unaware of her new location. The letter, from the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration, confirmed approval of emergency repatriation assistance, including flight home and temporary financial support. It had been processed following Mae's consulate visit, but arrived too late to help her. By November 18th, Mae's condition had reached a crisis point. Her journal entry that morning contains just 4 words, "Cannot continue like this." Security footage from her building shows Mae leaving at 9:42 a.m., moving slowly, one hand supporting her lower back. She returned at 11:37 a.m., carrying a small medical supply store bag. Receipt records later revealed she had purchased an 4 administration set, intravenous cannula, and medical tape, items that would be restricted to medical professionals but were sold to her based on her nursing credentials, which she still carried. At approximately 4:30 p.m., Mae made her final call to the Philippines, speaking with her sister Layla for 7 minutes. According to Layla's subsequent statement, she sounded exhausted but kept saying everything was fine, that she'd found a temporary solution. She promised to call again in a few days with good news. "She made me promise to take care of Mama." Mae's landlord, Ali Farhan, reported hearing her voice through the thin walls around 7 p.m., apparently recording audio messages. These voice notes, later recovered from her phone, were addressed to her unborn child. "I wish you could have known the Philippines, the warm rain, the mangoes from our neighbor's tree, the way light filters through bamboo walls at sunrise. I wish you could have met your Lola, grandmother, who heals everyone with her chicken soup and prayers. I'm so sorry. I wanted you so much. I thought you'd be loved by everyone the way I already love you." At 8:23 p.m., Mae sent a final text message to Dr. Rahim. "I forgive you. Please make a donation to the Diabetic Association in Davao someday. My mother will need their help." Sometime after 9 p.m., according to forensic estimates, Mae implemented what investigators would later describe as a desperate medical intervention by someone with professional knowledge but inadequate resources. She had created a makeshift force system, the newly purchased administration set connected to a bag of rehydration solution, into which she had dissolved an unknown quantity of methyldopa and over-the-counter sleeping medication. Using her nursing skills, she successfully inserted the cannula into her own vein and adjusted the flow rate. Her journal, open beside her bed, contained a final entry: "Not to die, just to rest, to quiet the headache, to sleep without fear, just until I can think clearly again." The precise contents of the force solution could not be definitively determined due to degradation by the time her body was discovered. However, toxicology reports indicated levels of sedatives consistent with accidental overdose rather than deliberate lethal intent. Mae Dela Cruz was found on November 21, 2021, 3 days after her death, when neighboring tenants reported an unusual odor to the building manager. Emergency responders pronounced her deceased at the scene at 10:17 a.m. The official cause of death was listed as cardiopulmonary arrest secondary to preeclampsia complications, exacerbated by sedative toxicity. Her unborn child, estimated at 16 weeks gestation, did not survive. The discovery of Mae Dela Cruz's body set in motion a bureaucratic process remarkable for its efficiency and its indifference. Within hours of the police report being filed, Mae's case had been categorized as non-criminal death under investigation rather than potential homicide, despite the unusual circumstances. Detective Farid Al-Mahmoud, assigned to the case on November 21, 2021, spent approximately 45 minutes at the scene before making his preliminary determination. His initial report noted, "Deceased appears to be a Filipino female, 30 to 35 years, found with 4 apparatus self-administered. Medical credentials found on site. Prescription and OTC medications present. No signs of struggle or forced entry, consistent with accidental self-medication." This swift categorization significantly limited the scope of the subsequent investigation. No forensic team was dispatched to collect comprehensive evidence. No witnesses beyond the landlord and immediate neighbors were interviewed. The building's minimal security cameras were not reviewed beyond the 24 hours preceding discovery. Dr. Saeed Al-Jassim, the medical examiner who performed the autopsy on November 22, spent 75 minutes examining Mae's body before declaring the death accidental overdose due to self-administered medication complicated by apparent pregnancy-induced hypertension. His report mentioned, but did not investigate, significant questions about why a trained medical professional would attempt such risky self-treatment rather than seeking proper care. The Dubai police report, finalized on November 24, devoted a single paragraph to Mae's employment history. Subject was terminated from Al-Hayat International Hospital on October 18, 2021, for professional misconduct. Visa status cancelled thereafter. Subject failed to exit country within grace period, becoming illegal resident. No attempt was made to contact Al-Hayat Hospital for detailed employment records or to interview former colleagues. The professional misconduct allegation was accepted without verification, effectively transforming Mae from victim to offender in the official narrative. When investigators located Mae's phone, they discovered multiple text messages to Dr. Elias Rahim. However, case notes indicate these were dismissed as possible harassment of former employer, rather than potential evidence of a relationship. The Dubai police never interviewed Dr. Rahim, considering him irrelevant to what they had already classified as an accidental death. On November 25, Mae's body was transferred to the Philippine Overseas Labor Office, POLO, for repatriation processing. The standard death notification sent to her family in Davao stated only that she had died due to medical complications, with no mention of pregnancy or the circumstances surrounding her termination. Polo case worker Angelina Santos, responsible for handling Mae's repatriation, later revealed, "We process several OFW, overseas Filipino worker deaths monthly. The system is designed to move them home quickly with minimal complications. Questioning medical examiner reports or requesting additional investigation would have delayed returning her to her family by months." The Philippine consulate faced with limited resources and hundreds of worker welfare cases, allocated a standard death benefit of 50,000 pesos, $978, to Mae's family. Her mother Elena was informed of her daughter's death via a phone call from the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration on November 26. They told me Mae had died from natural causes and that her body would be returned to us, Elena later told Filipino journalists. When I asked questions, they had no answers, just forms for me to sign. Mae's body arrived in Davao on December 3, 2021, in a simple wooden coffin provided by the Philippine government. Her family, unable to afford a traditional week-long wake, held a 2-day vigil before burial at the public cemetery. Approximately 40 people attended, former classmates, neighbors, extended family, many unaware of the full circumstances of her death. The funeral costs depleted the family's savings, including the final 1,000 dirhams Mae had sent home. Within weeks, Mae Dela Cruz faced the same financial crisis that had driven her daughter overseas in the first place: insufficient funds for diabetes medication and household necessities. Meanwhile, in Dubai, the machinery of institutional silence worked with frightening efficiency. On November 27, 6 days after Mae's body was discovered, Al-Hayat Hospital issued an internal memo to all staff regarding recent events. Without mentioning Mae by name, it has come to administration's attention that unsubstantiated rumors are circulating regarding a former employee's departure. Such gossip violates our confidentiality policies and creates a toxic work environment. Any staff found discussing this matter will face disciplinary action. Digital forensics later revealed that on November 28, the hospital's IT department removed Mae's profile from the employee database and archived her records with restricted access. Her name was eliminated from staff directories, shift records, and the hospital's website. The only remaining digital traces were in encrypted backup files maintained for regulatory compliance. Head nurse Fatima Al-Mansouri, who had supervised Mae for 3 years, attempted to organize a memorial collection for her family. Hospital administration shut down the effort within hours, citing inappropriate association with terminated personnel. The UAE's labor and immigration systems similarly erased Mae from their active records. Her case file was marked closed, deceased, and transferred to deep storage. Her visa violations were administratively cleared posthumously, maintaining the country's statistical records on workforce compliance. Dr. Elias Rahim returned to his surgical practice without interruption. Hospital attendance records show he performed 3 elective procedures on November 23, 2 days after Mae's body was discovered. There is no evidence he was ever officially informed of her death, though phone records show he accessed the text message she sent him on November 18 at 10:17 a.m. on November 24. On December 10, approximately 3 weeks after Mae's death, Elias attended a medical conference in Abu Dhabi, where he presented on ethical considerations in cosmetic procedures for international patients. Conference photographs show him smiling alongside colleagues. No visible signs of distress. Samira Rahim's activities during this period reveal calculated image management. On December 5, she hosted a charity gala for her newly established foundation supporting ethical healthcare initiatives. The event, covered by Emirates Woman magazine, raised 1.2 million dirhams, $326,700, for programs promoting integrity and accountability in medical practice. In her speech, preserved in the magazine's digital archives, Samira stated, "The medical profession must uphold the highest ethical standards. When boundaries are crossed, the most vulnerable suffer the most devastating consequences." The investigation uncovered one significant anomaly in the Rahim family's otherwise seamless continuity. On December 15, Samira transferred 50,000 dirhams, $13,613, to a women's education charity in the Philippines. While this could be coincidental, the amount roughly corresponds to what Mae would have earned in 4 months at Al-Hayat Hospital. Perhaps Samira's version of the compensation she had promised when she told Mae, "Perhaps we can find a solution that protects everyone involved." The most disturbing aspect of institutional erasure emerged 6 months after Mae's death. On May 17, 2022, a newly hired Filipino nurse at Al-Hayat Hospital, Rosalie Mendoza, mentioned Mae during lunch break, asking colleagues if they had known her previously. Security footage from the cafeteria shows several staff members glancing nervously toward surveillance cameras before changing the subject. Later that day, Mendoza was summoned to HR for a routine new employee check-in. According to her subsequent statement to Philippine labor officials, the HR representative casually mentioned that discussing former employees who violated hospital policies could jeopardize probationary employment status. Dr. Mahmoud Al-Thani, who had praised Mae's skills following the Saudi businessman's cardiac emergency, was interviewed by investigators in late 2022. When asked specifically about Nurse Dela Cruz, he paused before responding, "I believe she transferred to another facility. Competent nurse, as I recall. Nothing particularly memorable." When shown her photograph, recognition flickered in his expression, followed by careful neutrality. "Yes, that's her. Unfortunate about her departure. These things happen in international healthcare." The investigation later discovered that Dr. Al-Thani had written a glowing recommendation letter for Mae just weeks before her termination, describing her as among the finest critical care nurses I have worked with in 20 years of practice. This letter, never sent, remained in his deleted email drafts. In Davao, Mae's legacy unraveled with equal speed. Without her financial support, her mother Elena's health deteriorated rapidly. Hospital records show 3 emergency admissions for diabetic complications between January and March 2022. By April, the family had sold their modest home to cover medical bills, moving in with relatives in a crowded household. Mae's sister Layla was forced to abandon nursing school, taking a retail position to support the family. Her brother Marco's education continued only through an emergency scholarship from his university. The family received no death benefits from the UAE beyond the standard repatriation assistance, as Mae's employment had been terminated before her death. The most heartbreaking evidence of institutional indifference emerged in March 2022, when Mae Dela Cruz received a form letter from Al-Hayat Hospital's HR department. Addressed to Mae, it stated, "Our records indicate you left employment without proper clearance procedures. Please return all hospital property including ID badge, uniform, and access cards to avoid penalties." The letter had been automatically generated by the hospital system, which had never properly processed Mae's termination despite removing her from active employee records. When Elena attempted to contact the hospital to inform them of her daughter's death, she reached only a general call center. After being transferred multiple times, she was told there was no record of a Mae Dela Cruz ever having been employed at Al-Hayat Hospital. The most tangible evidence of Mae's existence in Dubai, her small room in Dera, was cleared and rented to a new occupant within 48 hours of her body's removal. Her few remaining possessions were disposed of as trash, including her nursing textbooks, family photographs, and the ultrasound image of her unborn child. The only item that survived, recovered by the building's cleaning staff and later turned over to investigators, was a handwritten letter addressed to "My Child." This letter, now preserved in case files, reads in part, "In the Philippines, we believe our ancestors watch over us from beyond. If I cannot be with you in this life, know I will be watching over you from there. Sometimes love means making impossible choices. I chose you again and again, even when there seemed no way forward. Remember that when the world feels dark, someone once chose you above everything else." In January 2023, over a year after Mae's death, a routine audit of hospital credentials by the Dubai Health Authority flagged an anomaly in Al-Hayat's records. This triggered a limited review that uncovered discrepancies in Mae's termination documentation. The resulting inquiry, while narrow in scope, created the first official record acknowledging potential irregularities in her case. This small administrative note, easily overlooked in thousands of regulatory documents, became the thread that, when pulled by a persistent DHA compliance officer, would eventually unravel the carefully constructed narrative surrounding Mae Dela Cruz's final days. On February 15, 2023, that compliance officer forwarded his concerns to the public prosecutor's office, noting, "Possible evidence of falsified termination documentation and coordinated suppression of employee information. Recommend review of Case 11-2762, JK, deceased Filipino healthcare worker. This single act of bureaucratic diligence, 15 months after Mae's death, finally set in motion the investigation that would expose the truth behind the silence. In a city built on global ambitions and impermanent populations, Mae Dela Cruz vanished from official records within days of her death. But as we've learned throughout this investigation, the most carefully constructed silences often contain the loudest truths, waiting for someone willing to listen.